WWE seemingly confirm the Mania Night 1 main event. Kazuchika Okada chooses AEW over WWE. Bruce Prichard weighs in on the Vince McMahon lawsuit. I'm Luke Owen, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
It's been 3 days since the WrestleMania 40 press conference where WWE executed a major twist in the Finish the Story saga, as Cody Rhodes announced, after saying that he wouldn't, that he will in fact face Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania, as The Rock turned heel and aligned himself with Reigns and the Bloodline. It was a major success for WWE, and one that was, by most accounts, a huge pivot from the original plan. Matt Men's Andrew Zarian was told by his WWE sources to just let this play out. There have been several conflicting reports on all of this. Dave Meltzer originally reported that this was the plan all along, while Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful Select noted that if this was a work from the start, then the likes of Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Seth Rollins producers, and members of creative were not clued in. Meltzer has since written in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that the absolute truth is pretty much impossible to decipher, noting that certain aspects of the story, both on and off screen, do not add up. Whatever the truth of the matter, it's been a massive topic for wrestling fans. Our coverage of it, both here on the WrestleTalk News and the WrestleTalk podcast, have far outpaced other topics in recent times. All of WWE's uploads of the press conference total to over 10 million views. But it wasn't just Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns that the press conference confirmed. It also teased the idea of a tag match between Roman and The Rock against Cody and Seth Rollins, who was also on the stage for the altercation. Meltzer reported that this match would not happen at Elimination Chamber, as neither The Rock or Roman are booked for that show and Seth Rollins is still injured, and it would appear that WWE themselves have confirmed this. The Superb Owl took place last night, which saw... Oh, hold on. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs, won the big game. I think that's the team that Taylor Swift plays for. But one of the big aspects of the Superb Owl isn't just the touchdowns or the three-point dunkaroos or the halftime sing-along, it's the commercials. Companies spend millions of dollars not just making the commercials, but even more millions of dollars getting them aired during the game. We got movie trailers for the likes of Deadpool 3, Wicked, and a new Planet of the Apes movie, as well as products like Mountain Dew, which featured a cameo from WWE's own Jade Cargill doing a move to my would-be wife, Aubrey Plaza. But WWE are clearly smarter than the average bear. Why spend all of that money getting your own commercial on during the game when you could just make a commercial and release it at the same time as all the other commercials to make it feel like it is a Super Bowl commercial? And that WrestleMania 40 teaser commercial shows Roman and The Rock having a tense stare down with Cody and Rollins, seemingly confirming that will be the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. Cody and Roman main eventing Night 2. Elsewhere on the show, Rollins will defend his World Heavyweight Championship, presumably also on Night 2, against the winner of the Elimination Chamber. The idea of a tag match was also teased by Triple H, who noted at the press conference that the first main event of a WrestleMania was a tag match, and this show is a celebration of the event's 40-year history. It also ties into the news that when The Rock signed to be part of the TKO board, part of the deal was to headline this year's WrestleMania, Meltzer writes. With Rhodes now facing Roman on Night 2, this allows Rock to get his contractual main event. Are you excited for a WrestleMania tag match with 3 of the 4 members pulling double duty? Let me know in the comments down below. And speaking of the Bloodline, we posted a deep dive video of the Samoan wrestling dynasty, which has some fascinating little tidbits like this part here, where Ollie Davis talks about The Rock's dad, Rocky Johnson, and the time he teamed with Tony Atlas to take on the Wild Samoans.
Rocky went on to become one of the most important figures in wrestling history, having NWA feuds in the 70s with the likes of Harley Race and Terry Funk, and teaming with Tony Atlas in the WWF to become the promotion's first black tag team champions in 1983. But who did they beat to win those titles? The High Chief Peter Maivia's real-life adopted nephews, Afa and Sika Anoa'i, aka The Wild Samoans. This is the OG Bloodline story.
Speaking of the Super Bowl commercials, though, I casually mentioned that Jade Cargill featured in one of them to promote Mountain Dew. Well, according to PW Insider, WWE were very impressed with her work in it and write that she's expected to be part of the SmackDown roster moving forward. But one man who won't be there to see any of this happen, however, it's Kazuchika Okada, who seemingly has made his choice on where he's going to now that he's leaving New Japan. It was news that surprised just about everyone when it came out. Okada, the biggest star in New Japan Pro Wrestling and arguably the greatest wrestler of his generation, was going to leave New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was a move that New Japan tried to fight so much, they put in a new president, longtime friend and rival Hiroshi Tanahashi. Whenever we talked about the idea of Okada leaving New Japan for either WWE or AEW, we would be inundated with comments on WrestleTalk news videos and on our social media that Okada will never leave, especially now that Tanahashi is president. But it is going to happen. There have been lots of reports of where Okada will end up, with both AEW and WWE reportedly showing interest in bringing him in. The Wrestling Observer reported that one of the reasons Shinsuke Nakamura got a big push towards the end of last year was done to display to Okada what he could expect if he signed with them, while Sean Ross Sapp reported that Okada's brief excursion and appearance on Dynamite last year was a testing of the water to see what it'd be like working with AEW on a week-to-week basis. It was felt that WWE might have this signing in the bag, with one report even saying that Okada was going to debut on NXT. But the pendulum swung back towards AEW, with some, myself included, wondering if All Elite Wrestling's big business would see a double debut of both Mercedes Moné and Okada. And now Fightful Select report that AEW are likely going to sign him. Syres writes the deal was effectively agreed to in the last couple of weeks, and barring unforeseen circumstances, Okada will put pen to paper soon and sign with All Elite Wrestling. Fightful say there is no debut date planned, but their sources tell them that the first half of March will be big for AEW, which is when big business is taking place. They also write the creative has been planned for Okada's debut since January. So, what happened with WWE? Well, interestingly, Sean Ross Sapp reports that while their sources within WWE tell them that discussions between Okada and WWE took place, WWE themselves are denying it. However, they also add that Okada himself was weighing the pros and cons of heading to WWE compared to AEW, which would suggest that he did have some form of talks with the promotion. Fightful also add that the reports of Okada going to NXT were false. It's going to put some interesting questions around AEW's relationship with New Japan, though. As Ollie Davis has noted on this show for a while, over the last year or so, AEW have signed Jay White and Will Ospreay, two of New Japan's biggest stars, and it's looking like they've done the same with Mercedes Moné and Okada, two more huge stars from the promotion. But it could be a simple two-way street. Fightful Select reported last week that Moné's deal with AEW would allow her to still do dates and work with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And Will Ospreay has said following his final match with the promotion at yesterday's New Beginning in Osaka, "I signed my deal with AEW and I'm allowed to come back and do New Japan matches." There is no word, however, on if the same can be said for Okada. What's even more interesting in all of this is that while WWE is inarguably the hotter wrestling promotion at the moment, they've gone 0-4 against AEW in signing top free agents from New Japan Pro Wrestling. But that isn't entirely accurate. Ibu of Wrestle Purist, that is his full name, noted via Twitter that WWE had the inside track to sign Moné back in December, but in the end decided against it, while Jay White was unable to sign with WWE due to the hiring freeze around this time last year. He also notes that while Okada and Ospreay did negotiate with WWE, they were always AEW bound and were just playing the game. We must now shift gears to talk about the lawsuit against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE. As always, this does come with a trigger warning for sexual assault. Since the Janelle Grant lawsuit against McMahon, Laurinaitis, and WWE was released a couple of weeks ago, many were wondering how it would be addressed on Bruce Prichard's podcast Something to Wrestle due to his close proximity to McMahon over the last 3 decades. Former WWE star Ronda Rousey even noted on Twitter that Vince cannot truly be gone from WWE while Prichard is still employed, as she saw Prichard as his avatar. Grant's lawsuit raised a lot of questions about who else is involved in the allegations against McMahon, Laurinaitis, and WWE, as there are several unnamed executives in the suit. Speaking on Something to Wrestle, Prichard noted that this was a legal matter that he cannot fully speak on. However, he did say, "I'm not involved, I'm not being sued, I'm not accused of anything." He added, "Sometimes it's as simple as for those who believe, no explanation is needed, and for those that don't, no explanation will do." That's kind of where we are, and we'll let the rest of it sit in the hands of the fine legal system that we have here in the United States of America. It comes 1 week after Laurinaitis' lawyer released a statement defending his position, claiming he was also a victim of McMahon. His lawyer also seemingly confirmed that WWE were aware of Ashley Mazzaro's claims of sexual assault while on tour with Tribute to the Troops, despite the company previously claiming that they didn't know. According to journalist BJ Bethel, the internal reaction to Vice's story about Laurinaitis and the Mazzaro claims was Armageddon. Lastly, on the lawsuit, and Dave Meltzer writes in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that both Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar, who's believed to be the former UFC champion that Grant accuses in the suit, will still be in WWE 2K24. He writes that the speculation in the video game industry is that it was too late to remove them. Both have been removed from the promotional material for the game, with Lesnar being replaced on the 40 Years of Mania edition cover, and neither feature in the latest trailer. It's awkward to gear shift back to the fun stuff, but if you do want some offbeat wrestling shenanigans, then check out the latest 3 Counts, where Ollie and I try to predict what will happen at Elimination Chamber in 3 words or less / fewer.